Happy Sunday, everyone. It's Promise Odera on again. Today, I want to speak to the need for the federal government of Nigeria to make food security a priority. You see, the UN brought out a report saying Nigeria will be in a food crisis. I think it's 2030 or 2027. I can't be certain right now. So, knowing the fact that we have a food challenge or food crisis issue, I think the federal government should start up a campaign, start up a nationwide campaign to drive the youth, because we have the labor force, we have the workforce, to start venturing into, even if it is not so commercial, to start, farming, you know, sensitize the people, let people see the need to grow their own food at least, to feed themselves. Nigeria have everything it takes to sort of export food even to the whole of Africa, because we have sunlight, we have arable lands, we have the labor force, we have the manpower. So, maybe sensitized through the schools, the universities, even the churches, anywhere, even the TVs, radios, let people go, to their farm, to their lands and farm. Even if you have a house at the back, cultivate, you know, in your village house or your village land, cultivate, plant cassava, plant yam, plant tomato, plant anything. You know, people in Nigeria, most people that are aware of what is going on are going into side hustles. We abroad, we do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, we have side hustles. So everybody in Nigeria should have a side hustle. You're a businessman, fair enough, have a side hustle, go into farming. Make sure that your land that you purchased is not lying waste. If you have 2, 3 plots, make sure all of those plots are being cultivated. Because what happens is that some farmers, they look around and they see lands that people have bought, maybe virgin lands that nobody has developed, maybe somebody has bought it, but because it's not coming there, you just go and farm there. That is also good. But if you have a land that you are not farming on, you should go and start farming on. I'm not saying go and start using hoes and this thing, shovel to start farming yourself. Pay people, pay farmers to go and cultivate your land. Everybody in Nigeria right now, knowing the situation of things, knowing the high cost of what do you call it, food. I don't want people to be deceived by what Ureno is saying, that cutting of yam is not to show that hunger is in the land, but to show that the yam is good. Reno can keep spreading his falsehood and lies to whoever cares to listen. But those in Nigeria who are bearing the brunt of the land, who understands their plight, everybody should see it as a necessity to, even if it is 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, go and pay somebody to cultivate your land. Any land you have, if you have somebody or you know somebody that's living abroad that has lands, tell them, please, let's use your land and cultivate for farming. I'm not encroaching, I'm not trying to take your land. Let me just use it to farm. Everybody should be a farmer in Nigeria right now. Encourage the whole Nigeria. Everybody should start farming. Every land in Nigeria should be cultivated upon. And you see that so we are in, I don't know if we're in rainy season or dry season in Nigeria. I think we're in rainy season, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe dry season, I don't know. So that by the time we start harvesting, there will be enough food for the country. So that you don't have to go into reserves. And as federal government reserve also has gone down, they should engage the schools, engage the universities. Most of them have a lot of lands that are lying in waste. Engage the agricultural department. Give them money that all of them should start farming, and use whatever they farm and produce from those universities to share to the university staff, and also to give the access to the government, and that goes into our reserve. How many federal universities do we have in Nigeria? How many lands are lying there in waste? So you guys have to approach these things. You see, there's so many countries that rely, Portugal for example, rely on grapes and wines export, as their main resource. So we need to understand, first of all, food is something that everybody is the first need of a man. People are going into piggery. I have an uncle, he's a lecturer, he's into piggery. I have uncles as well. Some of them work in construction. Some of them, I'm talking about those in Nigeria. They're in the village, they are their own plantations, plantain or cassava. Everybody should have farming as a side hustle in Nigeria, especially with what is going on now. If you have more money and you have the time, you can go into fishery, you can go into, and fishery, to create a pond, put a catfish there. I have a friend that is doing it very easy. Before you put the thing, they don't need too much water. No, you don't need too many land, you don't need a big swimming pool. Catfish. So all these things can fetch you money. How much is fish now? You can even make a lot of money if people are doing occasions, they want to do point and kill. These are very good. Now, I also saw a live by Peter Bojele where my very good friend from the north, Victor, was being advised on his business or his piggery farming to take a 50-50, what do you call it? Equity loan and then work with Black Mentor. Now, while I appreciate the business ideas from a capitalist point of view, I believe that capitalists don't have empathy. They don't care. They're all about income. They're all about profit. You know, if you want to get rich, you have to be red high. You have to be, able and what do you call it? Ready to clear anybody that come off the path and get your money by all means. And no matter who you step on or how many people you might have to swallow, because big fishes will swallow the small fishes, they say. But if you really want to help people, there are people that will just give you money and say, I just want to see you grow. And a very good example is the guy that owns Delboro Hotel in Nigeria, one of the most luxurious hotels that Prince Harry and Meghan stayed in. That guy, I've forgotten his name now. I think it's Stephen Ndukwe or something like that. Forgotten his name. The guy that owns Delboro, he said his mentor was Cosmas Madoka, Koschari's group. Koschari said he just gave him money because he saw he was a good young man that has prospects. He gave him money and he returned the money. The same Cosmas gave money to Andruba and, he went to the news because they fought, although now they've settled. So somebody can invest in another person just to see another person grow or because they see a prospect in you. Now, what people don't understand is that in Nigeria, we have a very big problem, and that problem is trust. A lot of people are not trustworthy. A lot of young people are not trustworthy. Even people that want to help them, they will be the ones to discourage those people that want to help them because of their lies, their dishonesty. Now, Victor is somebody I can vouch for. I can tell you that Victor is a true child of God. Out of all the people that I've met virtually on Instagram, he's the only guy I've gone to Nigeria and I've met one-on-one. And if you meet him, you will see he's a gentleman to the core, and for me, I think what he's bringing on board is trust. Now, if you have somebody in Nigeria that is giving you trust, that your 10 million is cool with, you can be able to partner and give that person 100 million. Because why do you want equity anyway? Why do you want to own ownership? So if you're telling him that he's greedy, that he cares about ownership, then why do you care so much about 50% in the first place? So you see, there are sleeping partners, there are active partners. I'm not an expert in business, but I think eventually what I'm trying to say is that all fingers are not equal. This is his whole life. You have your own life. This is like your side thing or something. You're just money you can close your eyes and throw away. But that is everything that matters to him. And because we have the likes of Tesco's and Sainsbury's, all these big shopping malls, does not mean that the roadside guy cannot do his business. Everybody cannot be big at the same time. There are people that if you give 10 million, you've done everything for them. There are people if you give 1 million, you've done everything to them. If you give the same people 1 billion, you give them a big problem, a headache, because they don't have the capacity to manage that. So everybody is not about scalability. Some people are just give them what they asked you for. Somebody should come to you and say, okay, what I want is a truck. Give them that truck. From that truck, they can be making their life and make a living out of it. Everybody cannot be big fishes. Everybody cannot be sharks. So for me, the way I look at things is that if somebody wants ownership of his business, allow him. Do you understand? I have a friend that invested about 30,000 pounds in the business. Some of his because there are 4 of them that opened the business. 2 of them wanted to pull out. They wanted to sell some of the shares to somebody that bought about 200,000 pounds, $200,000, or want to buy 200,000 shares into the business. They only gave the person about 2%, because businesses are not valuated by today. You make a projection of what the business can be tomorrow with that investment, and that's how you do what you invest the value of the business. I'm not an expert, like I said, but even banks, when they want to borrow you money, they come and look at your shop sometimes, look at your material, and then borrow you money. They don't just value you by what you have the cash in the bank. So telling somebody how much do you have in the bank and telling them, oh, you don't have money, why can't you take this money? You're not giving him the money to go and spend. This is not his money. It's capital. So at the end of the day, if banks can give you 30% and somebody else wants 50% equity, if that's the case, which people like Dangote will buy all the businesses in Nigeria. No, it doesn't work like that. Allow people to have ownership. Help if you want to help as an investor. Sometimes you can help people even without asking anything in return. So on that, I stand with him, and I appreciate what Black Mentor is doing. But everything in life is not money, which I think Nigerian society needs to start moving away from money. Sometimes it's just about standing up for yourself, owning your own thing, running it, being satisfied or being okay or contented with life. Everybody must not be rich. Everybody must not be the richest man in the world. Who even want to be the richest man in the world? Would he even have time? Does Dangote even have time for himself? So that's what I want to say today. God bless you. Thank you.